The Queens of Spice podcast is created for adult audiences only. Our show contains cursing, vulgar content, dark humor, descriptions of sexual acts and desires, and is not suitable for listeners under the age of 18. Some episodes also contain themes which may be triggering for listeners. Please take care of yourself.
So we're saying mac and cheese, her dick. Yes.
Welcome to the Queens of Spice podcast. I'm Rachel Ragachu, your host tonight. I'm here with my two BFFs, Ash and Jack.
Hello. Hi.
A very happy Mother's Day. This is a special Mother's Day episode. We're talking about moms, celebrating moms, and we're talking about Juniper Hill by Devney Perry for Mother's Day. Specifically, we picked this book. Happy Mother's Day, Ash.
Happy Mother's Day, you guys, for being cat moms.
We are cat moms.
Happy Mother's Day, Ashy. Thanks.
So we
And my dead mom in heaven.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
hell, who knows?
Definitely happy Mother's Day to my mom, who stopped listening to this if you are for some reason. And Jack's mom in heaven.
Run
Or
away.
hell, we're not sure.
Oh my God.
And all
No,
the
she's
other
pretty
mothers.
solid. She's probably solid. She's
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
She was good, people. She's probably just haunting you.
Wouldn't that be rad? Because then your mom would be around all the time.
Yeah.
That'd be so cool. Although, no,
Would
I
it?
feel like she'd understand boundaries. So we're drinking Supernova 7, which is brand new, just came out. We're recording in the past, not the future. And it's just like, it's a Supernova, it's a Nova 7 cocktail, which we're trying out today. So I'm pretty
The
excited.
look on Jacqueline's face is just priceless.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. I'll cheers you guys.
Clankety clink clink clank.
I don't hate it. It's just kind of weird. How does that compare to Nova 7, like regular?
It's sweeter.
It's way sweeter. It's a cocktail, so it's like a mixed Nova 7.
I mean, I don't hate it.
Yeah, I could chug a bottle of that and then some. Dangerous.
Yeah. I think it could be good. Or does it taste like soap? I'm not sure.
I did not
I don't
pick up
think
on
it.
the.
I didn't pick up on the soap.
I didn't pick up on the soap vibes. So that might be.
Is that
you.
because we were just talking about ghost soap?
Maybe.
So we're talking about Juniper Hill, as a
Yes.
matter of fact. So Juniper Hill.
June, that's my mom.
Jesus, it's gonna be an episode, isn't it? So this is book 2
Yep.
of the Eden series.
Yeah, it is.
Which is a collection of books. The first one is called Indigo Ridge. The third one is Garnet Flats, and there's Jasper Vale. And Crimson River comes out this year.
Next couple months.
Right. So
June or July. I
June or
can't remember.
July, yeah.
I think it's late June. I could be wrong though.
And there is one prequel novella called Christmas in Quincy,
Yes.
which is kind of introducing the whole story.
I didn't read that one though.
I also did not, but I
Oh.
read the synopsis quickly of it. I didn't actually read the book.
It wasn't about any of the siblings though. It was about like a friend of Knox's. She becomes a friend of Knox's, I think.
So this book, Memphis Ward arrives in Quincy, Montana, on the 5th worst day of her life. She needs a shower. She needs a snack. She needs some sanity. Because moving across the country with her newborn baby is by far the craziest thing she's ever done. But maybe it takes a little crazy to build a good life. If putting the past behind her requires 1,000 miles and a new town, she'll do it if it means a better future for her son. Even if it requires setting aside the glamour of her former life. Even if it requires working as a housekeeper at the Eloise Inn and living in an apartment above a garage. It's there, on the 5th worst day of her life, that she meets the handsomest man she's ever laid eyes on. Knox Eden is a beautiful, sinful dream, a chef and her temporary landlord. With his sharp, stubbled jaw and tattooed arms, he's raw and rugged and everything she's never had and never will. Because after the first worst day of her life, Memphis learned a good life requires giving up on her dreams too. A man like Knox Eden will only ever be a dream.
Oh, I love Knox.
So, the Edens, which is a family in Montana, specifically in Quincy, Montana, they're known as they're kind of like the founders of this town, and they're like kind of big wigs and all this stuff. Knox is the second oldest, right behind Griffin. Yeah. So there's Griffin. I think he's in this book, because the entire series spans a number of years. In this book, Griffin's like 32. Knox is 30. He's the main male character in this one. Then there's the twins, Talia and Lila. They're 27. Eloise, who's 25, and Mateo is 23.
I love Mateo.
I can't wait for his book. I'm excited.
Love Mateo.
So the next book, like I mentioned, is going to be Crimson River, which I think is about Lila, I believe.
It's
Yeah,
about
because
Lila.
all the books about... Because the only 2 books left would be about Lila and then one about Mateo, assumedly.
Yeah. Theoretically.
Theoretically, yeah. Unless, I mean, they might write more.
If we go based on the pattern.
Correct. And then, like, oh my gosh, the family. There's a lot of family in this. This is like a found family book for sure.
All of them tend to be. No, yeah, all of them tend to be to a certain point.
I think so, because it's a lot of it. I mean, they're all all the siblings are pairing off basically.
Yeah.
And it's all the stories about their relationships.
Yeah.
And how they form and stuff like that. So this one's about Memphis.
Wait, pairing off with each other?
No.
Well, you never know with you two.
None of the books.
Uncle Jake.
Oh God, Uncle Jake.
Oh
So
God, Uncle Jake.
the previous
Oh, Uncle Jake.
That escalated quickly.
I hate that, like, we did Credence. It's in the past. It's finished. It's over with. I never had to talk about it again.
Rachel was really hoping it was done.
I was so hoping Uncle Jake was dead and gone.
No, Uncle Jake will never be dead and gone.
Listen,
He'll
a
be
girl
immortalized.
can dream. A girl can dream.
Yeah, well, I mean, his niece dreamed.
Okay, so Memphis.
Wait, weren't her parents dead too?
Memphis's parents? No, her. Yeah, her parents are dead too.
What's her name?
Uncle Jake's
Niece.
niece.
Tiernan.
Tiernan.
Sure. She liked Noah and some other guy. Caleb.
Caleb, the other brother.
I hate I remembered all this. Okay, anyway. This book, however.
It's about Memphis.
Ash, do you want to give me 2 seconds to run down why it is we chose this book? Because this was like a deliberation.
Oh, yeah. So I was on a like hardcore single mom romance thing for a while back now. And so I had a list and we had talked about whether or not we wanted, like, what kind of Mother's Day book we wanted to do. And Juniper Hill was on my list, but I hadn't gotten around to it. And I picked it up after DNFing another book, which we all know how frequently Ashley DNFs books. Like
Department of National Defense.
Close.
D&D.
Did not finish.
Yeah.
Like you
TNT.
come for the book?
Dynamite. What? No, I couldn't finish the book.
Couldn't come for the book. Okay.
So, but the big thing was this was part of a series, and we both know that Ashton can't get into a series unless she starts the first fucking book. So I did, and I had never read Devney Perry before, and apparently, I don't know if this is factual or not, but I saw somewhere that Will and Nash is also Devney Perry, but maybe I'm wrong.
I can't speak to that.
Yeah.
I have the book, actually. I can speak to that.
Can you?
Let's see.
I don't think it's gonna say Will and Nash in there.
Why not?
I figured out what the Nova
Yeah,
7...
writing as Will and Nash.
Yeah.
Calamity Montana series.
Yeah.
The Bribe, The Bluff, The Brazen, the Bully.
Yeah, fantastic. Anyway, so
Those were actually on my list. Hilariously, they were on my list before we read this book.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, it was this. There's 2 books that she wrote that were single mom books. There was this one, and then there was
David Copperfield.
The Coppersmith Farmhouse.
Coppersmith Farmhouse. And I've done both of them. But the reason I picked this one was, as somebody who was a single mom, there was a lot in this that really fucking jived with me on such a huge way, particularly because I was a single mom when my son was really, really little. And this is we see
yeah, because Drake in this, which is her son, he's like 4 weeks old.
8 weeks.
Or sorry, 8 weeks old.
He's 8 weeks old.
Yeah.
And in the Coppersmith Farmhouse, the daughter is 4 years old, I think.
And this, and I noticed too, like, and you can speak to this better than I can, obviously, but like the level of exhaustion and the level of self-doubt.
That's it. Like that is 1,000% it. Like there were moments in this where I was like, I don't even care if they fuck, because
And admittedly, there's only 3 sex scenes in this book.
yeah, as long as he holds that baby and makes her feel better, like oh my God, there was just so many points where I was like,
The breeding kink is real.
sir.
In this. Yeah.
Oh no, not even that. It's just like,
It's very
sir,
wholesome. Yeah.
sir. Like if you could, sir. I'm telling you,
He's a daddy. Like
If-
he wants to be a father.
if a big
Tattooed,
bearded,
long hair,
tattoo,
Doubly bearded.
long hair,
yeah, grumpy
grumpy sunshine, very
Came-
very tall.
came into my life and was like, "Let me rock that baby," I probably would have cried.
Like aggressively too, where he's like
Wants to help.
So she's living above his garage because we should backtrack. Eloise, who is his sister, manages
runs
the
the
Eloise.
inn, yeah.
Runs the Eloise Inn. There's a story behind her name.
Clever name.
No, okay. So Jack. So Eloise Inn was named for her great grandmother, great
course it
grandmother,
was.
And she was
named for the great grandmother. And it ends up that she was, the family business, or the family owned the Eloise Inn for years and years and years. It stayed in the family.
The family owns a ton of businesses in the area too.
It's not even a ton, actually. It's only 3.
No, but the cousins and stuff like that own businesses too. They just never get into it.
Oh, that's fair.
And like Knox owns the restaurant that's attached to
The Eloise Inn.
the Eloise Inn. And there are so many things about this, series that I was just like, I love the little touches, like the fact that his restaurant's name was Knuckles, because when he was in culinary school, he got really cocky and he kept like shredding his knuckles. And
so they nicknamed him Knuckles.
yeah, so his nickname was Knuckles. So when they asked him what he wanted to name, like what his business name was, he just called it Knuckles. Or the fucking horses, how the horses were named after the planets because Eloise was doing a fucking presentation on the planets.
And they bought 8 horses for the family at the time. This, is in the other books.
Yeah, each of the books.
8. Really?
Well,
Come on now. What's wrong with Pluto?
I agree. Jack, I agree 100%.
Yeah, but so
Also,
there's-
isn't Knuckles like friends with Sonic the Hedgehog?
Yeah, different.
Okay.
yeah,
different
but he's
story.
definitely not an echidna. But like Griffin, Knox, Talia, Lila, Eloise, Mateo, and then mom and dad. That's 8 people.
Mhm.
If they were gonna put 9 horses, they'd have to create a whole new kid.
They should have. Pluto deserves another kid.
Well, wait. Maybe they just didn't have one for Earth because they live on
No,
Earth.
or they mention it later
Shut
on.
up. Nobody cares.
They mention it later on. In which book? The fourth book?
There's one of the books they mentioned.
Fourth
You're
book, yeah,
right.
because they wait for Eloise to show up, and that's the one where Jasper's being all cranky pants. And the thing, so here's the thing. Here is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
When I presented this book to you, I presented this book to you fully expecting you to hate it.
What? Which is, I agree. Yeah. Mhm.
Not be. I didn't suggest it to you because you would hate it. I just thought this is a fucking fantastic Mother's Day book. And I was sad because I don't think Rachel's gonna like it. And then she turns around and reads the whole fucking series,
All of it, top to bottom.
and proves me wrong. And I was so happy.
Except for the prequel.
Oh,
That's true.
But I didn't read the prequel.
Here's the
either.
other thing. This is my least favorite book in the series. However, the bar is very high because all of the books in this series are
really good.
amazing.
And what I not to like jump too far ahead, but one of the things that I really really loved about this series in general is that the third act drama was not the relationship ending though. Like a lot of books like this, it's usually the relationship ending, and it wasn't. It was something happening to them in the relationship that they have to go through together.
I think, and that's what I really liked about, like, even reading the first book in the series, like the way that Devney Perry writes her drama, and writes the interactions and how, man, like what a great friggin' author.
Also,
it's so good.
Also, a big part of picking this one is because there's so many
I know exactly what you're gonna say.
little like things that are very similar to the very first book that we talked about, The Property of a Mountain Man or whatever it was.
I'm calling this the Montana Redemption book.
Yes.
I've been calling it
100%.
that, because we're redeeming Montana right now.
Yeah. And
Because
like
in the Property of the Mountain Man, which is the first book you read,
Yeah.
it is a family. It is a bunch of siblings. It's based in Montana. It has got the alpha blah 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 bullshit.
Yeah.
But this is done in such an amazing, spectacular way, and all of the men who are written in this book are like the men written by females.
yeah.
Like they're so wholesome and lovely, and they grow and they understand, and
Yeah.
it's wonderful.
And like not
Sounds super realistic.
well, and like Knox's hesitation about Memphis
Everything.
isn't well, like, and his hesitation about Memphis and Drake has nothing to do with the fact that he just doesn't like kids.
Correct.
It has everything to do with like past experience he's had, and I love like
not being able to relive that past experience because of the
Yes.
emotional damage it had did to him.
yes, because he's fucking daddy. And like the family itself, and like you see all throughout the series too that the family is like super flawed in a lot of ways, but they love each other. At the end, they fucking love each other so much.
And anytime anyone in the family comes across a problem, it's a family issue.
Yeah.
And everybody works together to solve problems. And like, it's one of those like, okay, here's adversity. How can we all work together to like solve these issues?
Or when there's issues like within the family, like with the Eloise in and of itself, and like Eloise kind of get like, because they talk like they touch it on the beginning of this book, Juniper Hill, how the parents have approached Knox about taking over the Eloise because there was something that happened with Eloise and an employee, and they just didn't think Eloise was mature enough. And Knox was so conscious of how that would impact Eloise, and like tried to talk them through to the right resolution, because he not only didn't want it, but he didn't want to hurt his sister. And also another thing that I loved, this is like the opposite of the last one where I was like screaming about all the things I hate. This is just all the things I love. How they talk about in the first book how each we're not supposed to have favorites. So they're all no, we have favorites.
Yeah, they all have favorite.
We all have favorite siblings. Yep. We all love each other, but we all have favorite siblings. Yep. And it's just like so good.
It'd be sad if you were no one's favorite.
But everybody has a favorite.
Yeah, they all have a favorite.
Everybody's somebody's favorite.
Because I think one of the jokes
that sounds like bullshit to me, though.
Because I think in Talia's book, everyone's like, "Oh, you'd expect it to be Lila because they're twins."
Yes,
and she's like, "No, it's like Knox or somebody."
Like that was Maddie.
Else.
No, Eloise is Maddie.
So let's recap this book real quick.
Yeah.
So
Daddy Knox.
Memphis comes to town. The very first experience she has with any of the family is Winslow, who is Griffin's wife.
Yeah, she is.
Which is from the first book. And she basically like it's funny because in the epilogue of Indigo Ridge,
yes,
all the books have the epilogue of the beginning of the next book.
They intro it, yeah. And like Winslow is the sheriff.
She's the sheriff. Yeah.
So she comes across Memphis crying with Drake
pulled
screaming,
over on the side of the road, lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, "I'm looking for Juniper Hill," and Memphis is or not Memphis. Sorry. Winslow is like, "Huh.
Yeah, I know where that is."
Yeah, I know where that is, and like takes her, but like Knox is the only person who lives on Juniper Hill, and I don't think Winslow knows what's happening in this situation yet, because like why would somebody be going to Knox's place? And Knox purposely moved all the way out there and built this apartment above his garage because he didn't want
his family.
Yeah, because he didn't want his family crashing in his house, because they just show up at one of those houses and get drunk every once in a while and have like bonfires and like family shit. And so when Memphis gets the job, Eloise is like pumped because she doesn't have enough staff at the inn, and like
it's hard to keep good
staff. And so Memphis is coming, and then Memphis is trying to find a place, but Quincy's so small, so she contacts Eloise and she's like, "I don't think I can make it because I can't find a place." And Eloise is like, "No, I got you.
I got a place.
Let me get back to you." And then he's like, "Knox, can my new employee rent from you?" And he's like, "No." And she's like, "Okay, thanks."
Yeah.
And does it anyway, which is so Eloise's
I don't know.
character.
Here's the thing. And I think Knox points this out at one point.
Yeah.
Because Memphis obviously doesn't want to put anyone out.
Yes.
And she works incredibly hard in this book, and it shines through in her personality that she is a hard worker and she will pay her own keep.
Yeah.
And she does not want handouts, and she's not into like people treating her as a charity case. That is not like, as a single mom, she's going to do it, and she's going to look after her son and do it herself, and she's going to do that. And so Knox, they have this conversation later about like, "Oh, you really don't want me here, et cetera, et cetera." And Knox is like, "Listen, I could have always told Eloise no, and I didn't."
But he wouldn't, because he's not a dickhole.
Of course not.
But he did. She just said "fuck you" and did it anyway.
Well, like if he really, really, really didn't want her there, he would have said no. Like he would.
Yeah,
but
it was not a kicking and screaming situation.
Yeah, he was just like, "Oh, okay, I guess this is happening."
Yeah.
And
also, like, girl, you own an inn. Can't you just fucking stay there?
Okay, actually, they do address this.
Okay.
So at one point there was like an innkeeper's suite.
Okay.
And so when they renovated the restaurant, they removed that suite and they turned it into like I think it was his office and the walk-ins. So there's no extra place to stay. It's only like residential suites to stay in, like hotels.
Okay. Oh, sorry. I have another question.
Yeah, what do you got?
What made her choose this place?
Okay.
Quincy?
So there's a whole backstory here.
Nice.
So she
Nice.
she follows an influencer on Instagram because we're dating this. It's in 2022. The influencer she follows had posted some stuff about, I think her name is Cleo. She's like a baking person or something. Anyway,
I think she's the one in that Bella.
oh, that would make a lot of sense because her partner / bodyguard
Yes.
is anyway, she ends up with him and I'm like, there's a story here. I need to hear
fairly
this.
certain.
So Cleo had like taken over Knox's kitchen at one point and did a bunch of baking stuff and did this big review.
Yep.
And did this big review on Quincy, like the actual town, and posted on social media and all this stuff. And so she had so Memphis had seen that and would like smitten with Quincy basically and wanted her son to grow up in a small town that was like protected. There's only one school. Like just she wanted that for her son because she's from New York. She's from like, you know,
And her
the
family
city
sucks.
life. Her family's the fucking worst, like etc. And number 2, because they got to drive this point home, her father owns Ward Hotels.
Yep.
And Ward Hotels operates in this world in every single state except for Montana.
And all of his kids are named after places where his hotels are.
His kids are named after his favorite hotel locations.
Yeah.
So she was named after Memphis, which is one of his favorite hotel locations.
Wow.
Yeah, really.
He sucks.
Her parents are anyway. They kind of victimized her mom a little bit in this one, but definitely has made her decisions. But yeah, so her dad does not have a hotel here, so there's no reason for him to visit basically or come to this state. And later on, you also find out that she signed a non-compete clause when she was working at the hotel at his hotels.
Because she was working for her dad.
That's right. So she signed like a 10-year non-compete. So she couldn't work at any other hotels that would recognize that non-compete. And Montana, apparently, in this world, this does not recognize non-compete.
I think that's
contracts.
also why she couldn't work like higher up in the hotel and why she did the hospitality stuff instead.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that the reason Eloise hired her is because she had, you know, experience in hotels. And so that was a big drawing factor. Oh, she's like way overqualified working here. She wants to move to Quincy. She's dedicated working. And so
she's Eloise.
Yeah, and Eloise loves everybody. She's the
I love
sweetest,
Eloise.
sweetest girl.
I love them all. They're all fantastic.
The characters are, all the kids are so well-rounded in this. It's so nice.
I really love the moment where, because like, so she moves into Knox's place, like above Knox's thing, and Drake does not sleep. And like,
No.
this is the point where I'm like,
Because he's colic up until like
oh, I feel
3
you.
months or something.
I don't even think it states that he's colicky because like
They mention it offhand.
it's like the possibility of, and like he just doesn't sleep and he gets up at like 2:00 in the morning and he screams until 4. And so Memphis is exhausted. And my son was up 5 times a night. And I was a momby, like so hard. And the idea of that. Anyway.
And so, again, I need to recognize the downfall of the United States of America real quick. She doesn't get maternity leave. So
Yeah.
so he's 8 months old and she's going to work. Or sorry, he's 8
old.
weeks old and she's going to work.
Yeah.
Like, has to work full time.
Because her dad and like supreme asshole father, her dad like
kicked her out of the home
and,
she
like,
had.
wouldn't let her work there anymore and
And
like all this
fired
stuff,
her.
and fired her
And basically made her life a living hell because...
he's a dickhole.
Well, that and mostly because she would not admit who the father of that child
Oh
is.
yeah, right.
That
whole
was
part.
that was a big driving force
Yeah.
that drove a wedge between their relationship.
And like the whole time, Memphis is worried that Knox is just gonna kick her out because like Knox is grumpy.
He's such a grumpy
so
boy.
grumpy boy, and he's so grumpy.
grumpy boy.
And he was
He's
like,
the sweetest grumpy boy.
and he
though.
was like, well, he texts Talia, who is like doing her internship as a doctor.
So she's doing a residency.
As a doctor, and he's like, "Is it normal for babies to cry this much?" And she's just like, "Yes, Knox."
Eye roll emoji.
Yeah, like, and oh my god, I love it so much. And like, she's constantly afraid that Knox is gonna kick her out, and like,
Yeah, like, and this is the thing about Memphis is, and the way that that Devney Perry writes her, is that she's so in her own head about everything, as I assume single mothers would be.
listen,
And first time single mothers.
yeah. Oh, it like There are so many moments I'm like, yep. And then like when she's at work and like she bought herself groceries and she got herself like the mac and cheese. Oh my fuck.
The quote unquote blue
box mac and cheese. So she's okay. So
craft
she's
dinner. She didn't craft dinner.
So she's
shit.
Now-
She got the good
But
stuff.
but
no.
Knox
So
Knox is a chef.
okay.
Right.
So she's sitting there eating her mac and cheese,
Warming up her mac and cheese and then singing and eating.
Eloise comes in and she's like, "What's that?" And she's like, "It's mac and cheese."
Oh.
And she's like,
Don't let Knox see it.
"Is that the blue box stuff?" And she's like, "Yeah, why?" She's like, "Don't let Knox see it." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And then Knox comes in and he's like, "What's that?" And she's like, "Mac and cheese." He's like, "Is it the blue box stuff?" And she's like, "Yes."
And he throws it right in the garbage.
No, he doesn't. He asks to see it first and then he throws it in the garbage.
like her bowl of it or whatever.
no, he just dumps it out. Like not the
Oh.
bowl. No, he's not a He's not a dick. He's just
No,
a dick.
I just mean like he takes her bowl and
yeah,
dumps
and
that
dumps
out.
it in the garbage. And then he's like, "Come with me." And he makes her homemade mac and cheese. Do you know how, like, the idea of a man cooking me a homemade fucking meal after getting 3 hours of fucking sleep and my child screaming.
Girl, I made you mac and cheese last time you were here.
Yeah, and it was delightful. And when we had the fucking I almost said Instagram, not Instagram, hit the hurricane, and I didn't have fucking power, and you guys made fucking lasagna.
Oh, that was so good.
I
That's the
cried.
first time I ever made lasagna.
I
was
cried because
amazing.
it was warm food. I'm telling you, if as a single mom of a fucking infant like that, a man came in and was like, didn't want anything from me and just made me mac and cheese.
Aggressively made you mac and cheese.
Oh, aggressive. I would be like, sir,
was like pissed that you were not
eating
having-
blue box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but
I would offer my panties up on a fucking silver platter and be like, "Sir, would you like your dick sucked?" Like,
and do you remember what she said to him?
no, because I was too busy being like, "Holy fuck, I can't believe this man
She
exists."
said, "This is the first home cooked meal
Oh, yes.
anyone has made me in months." And he's just like heartstrings,
Listen,
like
He
stab him
is-
right in the heart. This is it, like. And he loves watching people take the first bite of food.
Yeah.
And then her eating it, and she's just like,
oh yeah, the noises that she makes.
it's
He's
so
just like, "You
good.
can't do that."
And he's like,
Yeah.
instantly hard.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh my god," and like,
So we're saying mac and cheese, her dick. Yes.
I mean, I wouldn't say no.
Yeah, I mean that adds up.
Yeah.
That's an equation.
That tracks. And like, so the family has dinners. Like they have like,
Oh my
like Sunday
God.
dinner.
kind of. But
Jack, it's very funny. I was reading this book, and like when they all get together as a big family, I think of you every time. And I was like, I wish this for Jacqueline because I know how much you love a big family get together. And it's like rambunctious, and like they're chasing
Crazy.
kids and shit. And like we got to throw out Eloise's cookies because she
Oh, yeah,
tries
don't-
hard, but they're terrible.
Don't drink your sangria.
Don't drink the sangria. Like mom's
then
got
there
the
was-
food on the oven. Oh, but it's boiling over because someone just said something bad or whatever.
And then like in the next book, she brings a guy who like Winslow knows because he stuck a cucumber down his pants, and they call Maddie, and Maddie's drunk at a bar, and their mom's freaking out because Maddie's drunk, passed out at a bar. It is chaos.
It's so chaos, and I'm just like, everybody needs this family.
It's so amazing. And then, so there's this scene where Griffin is holding Hudson. Hudson's their baby. Hudson's Winslow.
we should clarify. This is when Knox has been avoiding going home
Yes.
because not so much because of the kid, but because Memphis is very distracting for him.
Yes.
is how I'll phrase that.
Because she moans when she eats macaroni.
Because he
cheese.
wants her, but he
He's-
doesn't want to get involved because
she's the type of woman that he could like fall for. Is like
yes,
his thing.
and he's like, it's too complicated because he has a sordid past with like this other woman he was seeing, and
thinking that the
thinking
baby was
that
his.
like she was pregnant the whole time they were dating, and thinking it was his, and it wasn't his, and like she
Getting
left him and
attached.
all this stuff, and it was a big to do, and so he doesn't want to repeat history and get attached to another woman with another kid.
Right.
And so he's trying to avoid having those, like, acknowledging those feelings he's having for Memphis.
In the meantime, he's walking around with a chub.
He's got a fucking half on all the
Yeah.
time. And so
So-
he's been spending a lot of time with his brother Griffin and like
love
with his
Griffin.
family.
And so, like, sorry, what was your question?
My question is, whose what's the kid's name?
Drake.
Hudson.
Drake.
Drake is
Who's-
Memphis' son.
Yeah. Who's Memphis's baby daddy?
Okay, we'll talk about this
That
shortly.
comes.
That is a plot
get to
point.
that.
It's an important
Because her
plot point.
dad is upset about it or something.
Because he won't tell, and there's a reason she won't tell him. So they're at this family thing, and like I think are they outside?
He's at Griffin and he's at Griffin and Winslow's house.
Oh, okay, they're at Winslow's house.
He just cooked her dinner because Winslow is pregnant with number 2.
Yeah.
Bun in the oven. And so he's always like, he makes it his goal, which I love this. He makes it his goal to make sure that Winslow's cravings are always met to a T.
And
he
then,
takes it as a personal challenge.
And then Griffin's holding Hudson, and he makes a comment about how through the day, Winslow is all Hudson wants, but at night he doesn't want Winslow as much, and he's not sure if it's like the tone of his voice or if it's like a different
it's
set
the
of
baritone,
arms. Yeah, and like maybe he just needs to change the scenery. And Knox is like, oh, okay,
maybe I can do something about this.
well, because like every night up until a certain point,
Drake is crying.
Drake and he wakes up and Knox is like awake and he hears this baby crying and he feels so bad. So then does he get home and that night Drake's crying again and he just like marches himself up to the
marches his ass across the driveway, up the stairs into the loft, and says, "Give me your baby."
And well, at first she's like, "He's gonna okay, I understand. Like I'm gonna leave. Don't worry, I'll find
he's like,
another
"No,
place."
no,
And he's like, "No, give me the baby." And she's like, "What?" And he's like, "No, give me the baby." And he like rocks and walks with the baby
and talks to him
Yep. And like holds him.
He calls him boss.
Yeah,
that's his little nickname.
Oh,
yeah.
He's like, "All right, boss, what are we gonna do? What's going on? What are you mad about?"
And he like rocks him to sleep. And this starts this whole thing between him and Memphis and Drake where he goes up and he rocks the baby. Do you know what I would have given my left tit to have?
And that's your favorite tit.
And that, well, I mean, I don't really have a favorite. They're both huge.
Well,
but
that's our favorite of your tits.
Okay, great. Rachel and Jacqueline discovered today what a joy it is to snuggle into my tits.
Listen, sometimes you need a tit snuggle.
In a hug.
And it's so comfy.
So comfy. Like
I can't snuggle my own tits, Ashley. Sorry.
Better than any pillow I've ever snuggled.
And the left one is her favorite. To have someone come in and do that, like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I didn't have help. My family was great, but like...
But for a man to aggressively walk up and be like, "I'm going to snuggle your kid right now and rock him to sleep."
Particularly where his own father was like, meh. Right? Like, whatevs. And my son did not sleep. Mm-hmm. My son had fucking GERD and was projectile vomiting at Drake's age.
Classic.
Like, several feet across the bed. And like...
High five, Jack, no kids.
Woohoo!
Go cats.
And like, go cats. I had those too. And the kid. And like...
See, we stopped at the cats.
Yeah.
Smart.
And like, he was massive. So like, carrying him around, I was told by a doctor he wasn't supposed to double his birth weight until he was like 4 months. And he doubled his birth weight at like 2.5. My child was a chunk.
He was a chunky boy.
Yeah. And he's huge. Even now, he's 10 years old and he's 5'2".
He's
like,
so tall.
He's a tall kid. So like,
Is he 5'2"?
He's so tall. I
He's
saw him today and I'm just like, "Kid, you gotta stop growing."
Yeah.
I remember when you were like born.
I'm 5'4".
Oh, listen,
Yeah.
man. It's wild. So yeah, like having a guy come in, I honestly think that my brain would have gone into like short circuit mode and I wouldn't even have been able to, I would have had a meltdown. I would have had an anxiety attack over somebody trying to help me because I was so fucking overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's her in this book is like,
I feel like, and you can say this, they captured the overwhelmingness of motherhood in this book in such a way that I'm like, God,
I'm so glad that wasn't me.
I'm so glad because I could not deal with this.
Yeah.
Like, how the hell do you deal with that?
When she was crying about how her life was a mess and she was a mess and
Oh
like,
God,
and like, I don't understand how you want me. I'm such a mess. My life's a mess. Like, that was like every other day. Like, I'm either fucking him up, I'm fucking my life up. I don't understand. Like, to that point, I moved to a new town. My son wasn't even a year old, and I was moving to this new place for reasons, and starting a new job, and
it's a lot.
It's a lot trying to get your kid in daycare and doing all those things and building a new life. And oh my God, I felt so seen in this book. And I was just like, And I mean, and then like you look at my boyfriend and he's like, don't get me wrong, he's not a chef, but he's like,
He's no chef.
I mean, he can cook.
He can.
And he does cook. Like, I'm so grateful for that. But he's like tall, bearded dude. And I'm like, he just doesn't have the tattoo because he's like soft and squishy like a bear. But it's like that. Oh my God, what I would have killed to have somebody come in and just.
So this book is the like single mom dream, I feel.
For me
Yeah.
personally,
Yeah.
but I mean, that doesn't mean it's for everybody.
That's
but
true.
For me, it was like, because I was the person that did move, like I moved like over an hour away. Oh, not over an hour. We moved about an hour away, and basically started my life over. Now I was fortunate enough to continue on doing within my career, but I essentially had to start over because I was building a client base again. And so like, yeah, like there was a lot of points I was like, I get this.
And I want to say too, because there's this great scene where her parents show up.
Fuck her parents.
Yeah, definitely fuck her parents, because all they care about, and they draw this out obviously, is their reputation. Like the Ward Hotel name. That's all that her father cares about. He doesn't want that reputation tarnished. He doesn't give a shit about his kids or his fucking wife for that matter. He definitely doesn't care about his grandson. He doesn't even ask his grandson's name when he shows up.
What? Also, she has siblings. Are they in it
She has
at all?
2 siblings. They mention them. That they're not really in it.
Okay.
And the mother's been calling her.
Yeah, I think at this
All
point there were
along.
like 150 calls in that she kept rejecting.
And Knox has paid attention to this too.
Mm-hmm.
So when they show up, and I think Knox is getting, it's when they decide that they're going to start moving her stuff into Knox's house.
Yeah, because he's like, and it's one of those like, I don't like it when people make decisions for me. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's the right thing to do. And he does it so like wholesomely.
Yeah.
That
And-
he's like, I will move your stuff over one laundry basket at a time. I don't care.
Yeah,
Like,
in
I'll just
theory,
slowly.
It's
Yes.
like, I don't want someone to do that for you, but like,
In practice.
if it actually happened afterwards, you would be like,
Oh.
whoa, thank
And I mean, there's other things that happen in this book. That's one of they're like, okay, reading about it, I'm like, that's hot, or I like that. But then
And
like
that's
in actual practice, I'm
Romance novels are like that.
Yeah,
You've got to take
100%.
all of it with a grain of salt.
like 100%.
So this particular instance, her parents show up because they had been trailing her. They had somebody follow her.
Yes, they had somebody find
and
her.
keep tabs on her to find out where she was for a myriad of reasons. In this instance, they had received like basic blackmailing them for money, being like, I know who your daughter's baby daddy is, and I'm going to tell everyone that you have connections with this guy, because this guy is not a good guy.
No.
He has connections with like the Italian mob or something in New York.
His wife
is
the daughter of a mob, like a mafia
because
boss.
again, she was a mistress without knowing. In this instance,
Yeah, but she was smart and she got him to sign over all his
parental rights. Yeah, but
Yeah.
the agreement was, I will never tell a soul that this is your son. You will never tell anyone that this is your son. As far as I'm concerned, he has no father.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he has a father. His name's Knox.
Yeah, well, there's that. So
Daddy.
when her parents show up to confront her,
wrong daddy. Not the same kind,
I love
though.
how she's like lecturing.
It can be
the
both.
look on her face.
No, I can't.
so
You told. Oh no, I was the one that said we can't do a book like that.
So when her parents show up, and so she like they come from like 2 different areas. So so Knox is from in his house, and he's got Drake with him because she went back to her loft across
Yes.
the driveway to take a shower or whatever. And so she comes down when her parents pull up.
Yes.
And they get out of the car and they're trying to confront her, and then Knox immediately takes Drake and stands behind her
Yes.
and doesn't
behind
say
your woman.
doesn't say shit.
Which is
until
also a power move.
It's such a power move. He stands there and waits for the confrontation to be over, and then once it starts escalating, he looks him straight in her father in the eye and says, "They will never find your body. Get off my property." And then they leave, and that's it.
That's
That's
hot.
it.
We don't condone murder unless it's douchebag daddies that are not daddies that need to be schooled by daddies.
Hot daddies.
Hot
Hot
daddies.
daddies. And so
Weird
that's
dads being
so that-
schooled by hot daddies.
God.
I love
That's the
how-
next podcast.
I love how we've corrupted Jacqueline.
I do feel corrupt. adopted.
Aw.
It's like the sweater thing when you were like, "Do I need to get a sweater that says sub?" I was so proud of that moment. So proud.
Gosh. Okay. So this is an important plot point.
Yes.
Because as the story progresses, like obviously they're falling head over heels with each other.
So delightful.
It's amazing. He's like sneaking off in the middle of the day
Oh
to
my
like kiss her
God.
in that hotel room she's
Oh
cleaning.
my
and
God. Yes.
It's so
and
sweet.
like
And every time something good happens to him, she is the first person he goes to tell.
so good.
Oh,
It's so wholesome.
She's like,
he tells her things. That's so sweet. Okay, this is who I picture it being in my movie fantasy.
What do you got? Who is it?
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
I can see it.
Is that Negan from Walking Dead? No.
But,
No.
like,
He's way too
darker.
old. He's like 30 in this.
Oh, okay.
I see where you're going with it, but
I don't even think I can put a name on it. Here's the thing: that Knox is a romance novel go-to. I feel he's a tall dude. He's fit. He's tattooed. He's bearded. He's dark hair. You know what I mean? Like,
But if you look at any of the descriptions of any of the characters in terms of like male, female, it doesn't matter. A lot of it tends to be kind of vague-ish in
intentionally
terms.
vague.
So you can picture your own
Yeah,
Jeffrey
exactly.
Dean Morgan.
So like they don't talk about like. I mean, they do in some of them, like the straight nose or the strong jaw, but like
his bright eyes. His
yeah,
blue eyes.
yeah. I don't know.
They leave it vague enough that you don't.
I have an image of Knox in my head,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like almost a dark-haired older Liam Hemsworth.
I can see that.
Like, do you know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
like that, like
Okay, I need to bring something up real quick because this bothered me. I put in my notes. I put in Jacqueline's notes too, which hopefully she read, and I don't know if she agrees with me or not.
Eat butter.
eat butter.
That's dead ass where I'm going with this. Thank you for reading at the end. So one of my points, and this happens frequently, okay?
Oh,
so this
the
isn't
washboard
even
abs.
So one of the things that bothers me when people describe chefs, because I read another book back to back with this with another chef who's like, he's fucking ripped. He's got the washboard abs. He's got like which don't get me wrong, amazing, hot. But a chef
Yeah.
that is ripped like that, I'm sorry, but
He's not
chefs
eating
need to
his
be,
own.
you gotta be like squishy.
Do you though?
I
There's
think
that
you
whole
do.
saying where you're not supposed to trust the skinny chef.
There was a chef in a book
Also,
that I read.
I like a man with meat on him.
Well, yeah,
so
that's
like,
fair. There was a chef in a book I read called Addicted to LSD. LSD being the name.
Who
And
is LSD?
he was a prostitute and it was a whole thing. But
Go on.
the chef's ex-husband was a tattoo artist, so
Okay.
he has like chef life tattooed on his knuckles, and he has like bacon tattoo. And
he has bacon tattooed on his ass.
not on his ass, on him. I can't remember where, but he has all these like
Where the bacon comes from?
I don't know. I can't tell you. You'll have to read the book. But he has all these like weird chef tattoos, and he's like, and when they described him, it wasn't like soft around the middle, but he definitely wasn't ripped. And I loved it so much.
Do you think we should just have a thing that's called chef bod? You know how there's like
Yes.
dad bod.
Yeah.
Dad bod, chef bod, be the same thing.
No,
wouldn't it?
not
Very,
necessarily,
I would say
though.
similar, but not quite the same.
Oh my god. Would you say he's more of a chef bod or a dad bod?
I think he's a chef bod. Like he uses a smoker. Where the dad bod, he just drinks a lot of beer.
I agree with that attestation.
All right, good
100%. So thanks, Jack.
I want brisket. Hit us up, chef dads. I mean bods or dads.
dad bod dads.
God.
So Rachel's upset that dad bod did that Knox daddy didn't have enough meat on him.
Yeah.
Like eat butter by the stick, you heathen.
That's in Jacqueline's notes because I thought she'd agree with me, and she does. So I'm very pleased with that.
Oh, I understand now.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. I was
She
happy
drives
with him.
a Volvo, like on purpose. How do we feel about that?
She bought it because she wanted like
They never. Here's the thing. I read it the second time through, and I was looking for the point where they said because the Volvo is like the safest car on the road, and that's why she bought it. I think that's the implication that they're going for.
yeah, because like she had so much money because of the buyout, or there's some reason that she had a lot of money.
She had a savings account with money in it.
Yeah. And one of the few things that she did buy was a car.
She straight up bought a Volvo.
Yeah.
Ooh, did she get paid from the baby daddy for keeping her mouth shut?
Actually, no. She turned the money down. He offered her $50,000. She said no. Also, when she walked away from her house that her dad kicked her out of and her job, she also walked away from a multi-million-dollar trust fund. So, like, she literally gave up a lot to leave and live her own life.
Yeah. Wow, it better look like Jeffrey Dean Morgan then.
I don't know. That Liam Hemsworth picture was pretty hot.
True,
That was pretty on point.
A chef bod.
Yeah, but that was the bod they were describing in this book.
It said Liam Hemsworth in it?
Yeah, it definitely did.
Amazing.
No, it just,
Nailed it.
my God. Just,
So, we need to talk about the big
Dick.
The big, obviously he has a big dick. So the one thing we have to talk about that we haven't talked about yet is that Memphis takes her son Drake to a daycare.
Yes.
And at the daycare is, I think her name's Jill. Yeah, Jill, the daycare lady. She's like obsessed with Drake in kind of a weird, unhealthy way, but not, I don't know, just weird. She really, really loves her son Drake. And like Drake's her favorite at the daycare, and she like always holds him and carries him around.
but it's like mildly problematic too, because like she ends up taking Drake away out of the daycare and takes her to her house. And when
She picks him up,
yeah, so Memphis
he's
shows up
always
to pick him up.
screaming.
Well, no, that too. But then, like, there was one time where she comes over, or Memphis comes to pick him up early, and they're like, oh, Jill just took him to her house. She had to do laundry
Next
or something.
door to her house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's one of those like,
And then
What?
she's like, hey, don't ever do that again.
yeah, that's my baby.
I'd hate to fight you.
And like, I will say too, like, again, I can't speak for all single moms, and obviously I don't speak for all single moms when I talk about my experience or like how I related to any of this. But the idea that your baby is going to like somebody else more than you because you're trying to work. I was fortunate enough to be able to be off work for a year if I chose to, but because of the nature of my job, I went back part-time 6 months in or something like that. So I was working 2 days a week to keep relevant in terms of like my job. And the idea that in my case too, my son was hanging out with my mom. So the idea that he was more attached to my mom than he was attached to me, like, was really, even though I wanted, like, you want that relationship and you want somebody else to care about your kid to that point, it still sucks to think that you're doing bad by trying to provide the things that they need. And like, admittedly, when they're an infant, you think like, you know, thinking back on it, it's like, well, they just
You're
want
not going to remember that.
they just want to be held and loved, right?
And I really think that what you're describing shines through in this book a lot.
Big time. The costume, my fucking heart
Yeah.
broke.
The Halloween costume
The
situation.
Halloween costume. Memphis made this sweet little lamb costume by like hot gluing cotton balls
to it, yeah.
to a onesie.
A white
Aw.
onesie
And,
with a
like,
black one under it, so he looks like a sheep.
So it looked like
Yeah.
a sheep, and like made him a little hat. And we just showed up to pick him up. Jill had him in like a store-bought pumpkin
yeah.
costume or something. Like, not your place. Fuck the fuck off.
Unless he like threw up all over that fucking little lamb
Which he didn't.
costume, then go fuck yourself, you stupid cunt bitch.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. Like,
And so, but Memphis' struggle
Wait,
is what?
is this Jill like
secretly the dad.
no, but is she like the Knox's like thought he had a baby mama?
Oh,
Okay.
no. That's
She does come back though.
Her name was Gianna. She comes back very, very shortly and gives him a lot of closure, I think. Or rather, the situation gives him a lot of closure, so I'll say that.
Yeah, because they get pictures taken together and
They
it's
do.
really cute.
It's
Who?
adorable.
Him and his kid?
Him and Memphis and I
And-
think Drake.
Yeah, and Drake.
Oh, so he's not a daddy to someone else.
No.
He's a daddy to Drake, let's be honest.
And when I say daddy, I mean like father.
Father. No,
Not
because
like, hey, daddy.
Gianna cheated on him.
That bitch.
Well, okay.
Probably with Jill's husband.
Here's the thing. Gianna, when they were first dating, she wasn't exclusive.
Yes.
So she had been sleeping with somebody else, and then they ended up getting together, and then she found out she was pregnant, and she never told him until after the kid was born. And so he went through this whole pregnancy thinking that was
Yeah.
his kid, and it wasn't.
no.
And then Jaden is his name. And then Gianna, like, after the kid was 4 weeks old or something, not even, told him.
Yeah.
And
So
then
did she know for sure
she
that it
knew
wasn't his?
she knew all along.
Okay.
Did she know all along, or was
She
it one of
did.
those things that she figured, and then once he was born, she was like, no, this is definitely the
No,
case.
she absolutely knew because she knew she was pregnant when they started seeing each other. And that was
She's
that
a
was and
dickhole.
that's what Knox's thing was that you lied to me the entire time.
Yeah.
And that's the reason they couldn't stay together, because otherwise, if she had told him the truth from the get-go,
Yeah.
they would have stayed together. And he's like, that's fine, I'll just raise him. Like, that's okay.
And that was another thing, like,
Well, yeah, because if you didn't define the relationship, like she's free to see multiple people. So
well,
you
that
can't
it wasn't
really be
about
mad.
it wasn't about the baby. It was about the lying. Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
and that's again, my partner for all intents and purposes is my son's father, not biologically, but in every other way that counts. To the point that when he talks to my partner, he calls him his name, but if he were to talk to either of you about my partner, he would call him dad.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just his way of like seeing the world. And having a partner come in and just because I was very specific about removing myself from the way their relationship was defined and how their relationship was built, because it wasn't my relationship, it was theirs. And so I let them form their relationship as it went. And, you know, he is my son's dad. Seeing that in Knox's character is like,
Okay.
that's kind of adorable. I just have to say.
yeah, it's fantastic.
There is this one scene in this book, and you're gonna melt in a second, Jack. But
Oh no.
there's a scene at Thanksgiving when they're at Knox's parents' house,
Yes.
and the entire family is there,
Yes.
and
Yes. I know exactly what you're saying.
Griffin is talking about Hudson, his son. And he's talking about him in something. Talking
My
about
son,
eating or
something,
whatever.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my son is this. And Knox straight up, he's like, oh yeah, well my son does X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And he's talking about Drake.
I don't know if he says
He
son,
says
though.
mine.
But mine. It was
Mine.
essentially like
he
mine.
claims him basically.
And it's like,
And it's very funny because
he doesn't have to say son because the other guy already said son. So he's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, well,
Oh, he's
mine
like, oh, well,
does
mine
my
does
kid.
this.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
kid.
And so the entire scene, there's this moment where everybody in the entire room goes silent because they also, his family knows loosely about the background of like this kid that was his potentially and then wasn't and all this stuff. So they know,
I
like,
thought only the mom knew.
she knew all the specifics.
Yes.
And they don't say Gianni's name in the house for that reason.
Yeah.
But the rest of the family kind of knew the rough around the edges situation. And so like everyone goes quiet when he says this. And then without missing a beat, Knox is like, hey mom, I'm pretty sure, Talia, do you want to let mom know that her cranberry sauce is boiling over? And then everyone just goes back to normal. And
Yeah.
she's like, oh shit, my cranberry sauce.
Yeah.
And that's it. And
Like,
it's so fucking
Ovaries
sweet.
fucking exploded.
Insane. And
Like-
he's just like, and he claims Memphis, obviously, and he claims Drake as his own.
I
And
got
it's like,
pregnant reading that spot in the book. It
Oh
was like,
no.
I don't even want to ever have kids, and I'm like goosebumps.
Yeah.
Like, this is amazing.
And it is. There's this moment when you find a partner and the family that just, like, my mother-in-law is my son's grandmother. Like, my brother-in-laws are my son's uncles. Like, that's the way it works. And it's not like we're not married. We've been together a while, but we're not married. And
Yeah, there was no like formal adoption or
nope,
anything.
nothing like that.
In this book, there is.
Oh, is there?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, there is. We're missing out. Okay, so Jill is a cunt.
Okay.
Jill.
So Jill.
So Jill.
So this is where all of the kind of adverse elements come together. So Jill the cunt had been talking to this gal who like made friends with her and stuff. And like was had this relationship with her behind the scenes and whatever. And like this woman told her the story that she was Drake's biological father's sister, so Drake's aunt.
Yep.
And was like, I'm just trying to like get parental rights for my brother and try to like get him on the birth certificate and all these things, and told her all these like lies, very obvious lies in retrospect, about how she wanted to reconnect and basically like involve herself in Drake's life. And so there's like, you know, because this is like the crescendo near the end of the book where obviously they're in a good relationship, Knox and Memphis. He's like gonna propose to her. So there's that. Even though, and
he goes to get the ring.
even though, and I quote, Christmas proposals are cliche, but whatever.
So true.
Don't even. I hate that. It's like, no, get her a gift. Don't get her a ring.
Don't get her a ring. That's just a fucking obligation, not a gift.
You're signing up for something there.
Yeah, take his dick for till death do you part.
All of these things come to head, and you know, they're in a good place. They're like kind of gonna rent a hotel room for the night. He's gonna propose to her this night. All this stuff. Of course, all this good stuff's gonna happen. Whatever. And then she's like, "Okay, well, let's go pick up Drake, and then we'll drop him off at your mom's house, and I'm gonna tell the."
She's gonna watch her grandkid for the night.
She's gonna watch her grandkid for the night, and they're gonna officially pull him out of that daycare and let his mom look after her and Hudson because they're gonna be best friends because they're like the same age.
Because they're cousins.
They're cousins, and so they're gonna be BFFs, and the grandmother's gonna look after them forever, times million. And of course, Memphis doesn't want that, but again, Knox is like, it's like she wants to do this. This is not a charity job. Like, my mother, this is her grandson. I don't think you understand.
Okay, but actually, I want my child in daycare so he can socialize with other children.
But he's socializing with Hudson.
He's like
It's
4 months
not
old.
about the money.
He's got Hudson.
That's one other kid.
Yeah, there's going to be a bunch of others.
Man. This family breeds like no one's fucking business.
There's so many kids at the end
Okay,
of
well,
this.
you still need more friends other than your cousins.
So all this stuff comes to head, and they're gonna like stay at the hotel, whatever. Drop Drake off at the parents, and they're lining all these things up.
Wait, sorry. Are they staying at a hotel or are they staying at his
The Eloise
sister's
Inn?
The Eloise.
Fuck off! Come on.
Hold on. There's a story behind it. It's not as lame as it sounds.
Yes, it is.
It's not.
Well, he like meets her upstairs and like seduces her kind of in the room, and
As one
like
does.
it's really really cute. And then he's like, somebody like
In
cancel.
his sister's hotel where he can fucking get it for free.
Anyway, so
In their same town, they don't even get to go anywhere.
Listen, there's like the closest
no
place is
food
Boise
because
or something.
There's
Not Boise.
There's no food because he's the chef, and so he would have had to close the restaurant.
No, he's got people who work for him.
Jack, you're projecting. Stop.
Let's go on a date to the restaurant I own.
Okay.
They could go to Willie's. Where not Memphis, where Winslow and Griffin met.
And Griffin met. Yeah. Oh my God, I love that story.
So good. I can't sleep with you because you're from my town. Oh wait, but you're not from my town. Great, we can sleep
It's
together.
interesting because that book started off, and I was just like, "Oh God, here we go with this fucking small town bullshit again." And then I'm like,
Right?
Oh,
Right.
I'm so glad I'm wrong.
Yeah, because being from a small town, I was like, small town romance is not my thing. And then I was like, oh, small town romance is my thing.
A different kind of small town romance. So she goes to pick up Drake at daycare, and he's not there. And one of the other ladies working was like, "Oh yeah, he went with Jill, and they just went to run some errands at her house or something, and
Which
they'll
she's
be right
not
back.
supposed to do.
She'll be back
Okay.
before 5."
Does the other the other daycare people not think it's fucking weird that she keeps stealing this kid?
No,
They're just like, oh yeah, he went with Jill. She's a background check done. It's fine.
it's her mother owns the daycare.
Aunt, I think it
Of
is.
course.
Aunt. Yeah, you're right. It's her aunt. So like obviously Memphis is like, "Oh my God, like fine, I'll go fucking find this bitch again," even though I was like, "Don't ever take my kid out of here again. I told you." And so she, gets into panic mode and goes to try to find where Jill is, and Jill's house, which is next door, is empty, and the lights are off. But her car's missing from the driveway. And so obviously there's a big shit show. Where is the kid? The kid has gone missing. And I need to precursor this with the father, because in the middle of all this, she calls her dad, be like, "My son's missing." The blackmail that was going on, what did you tell her?
Yeah.
Because immediately she thinks like this blackmail has come full circle and is like somebody stole her kid, is what she's thinking. And her
course.
father's like, "Well, we told her to fuck off, basically. We're not paying her any money." And so she's like, "Oh shit." And so they go down this rabbit hole of trying to find out who that girl was, who had been trying to blackmail her parents. And so there's then they get Wynn on the phone because she's the sheriff, and they run an Amber Alert, and
Wynn
they try
shows up.
Yeah, Wynn shows up, and they try to track this kid down and all this stuff. Anyway, so they end up, of course, getting the kid back, and this blackmail lady who was her baby daddy's other mistress.
It was clever how they got him back though, because was it Memphis called or
Memphis
Eloise?
Memphis called Oliver, who is the baby daddy.
No, but somebody called
Right.
a...
Okay, I'm going down the line.
Okay.
So Memphis got a hold of Oliver, the baby daddy, and was like, who else knew about our relationship? Because somebody knew that he was the father of her kid. And he was like, there's literally nobody else. And she's like, who else? Were you seeing anyone else at the time? Like, who else would possibly know? And he's like, I was seeing this chick who was kind of stocky. And sure enough, like, stocky chick ended up, like, she had been following him around and found out that that he had a relationship with Memphis and put two and two together when she had a kid, and then had, like, tracked her to this small town and all this stuff.
Well, she showed up after when Memphis was moving out and said that she was an FBI agent.
Correct.
Saying that she was going to asking her questions about Oliver, and she's like, I don't know what you're talking about, and left.
Yeah, specifically she was like, I don't know who that is, and then carried on with her life. And so this gal, like, had put it all together that this was her son and was going to just wanted money, basically.
Was it Eloise or was it Memphis who called the other?
It was Knox.
Knox called the other places to ask if anybody, because of the run out at a bill or something.
Right. So so they found out this girl's name, this woman's name, and Knox was like, they relayed the information to Wynn, and there's a whole panic, and they put her APB out for her and all this stuff. And in the meantime, they're also looking for Jill, because, like, where did this kid go? Knox gets immediately on the phone, and he calls his dad and all these other things. And then he calls around all of the other hotels in the area. Yeah. Anywhere nearby. Because he's like, okay, they wouldn't go to a local hotel. Obviously, they must have, like, gone out of, like, a little bit out of town. And so he calls the nearest hotel, and he's like, hey, do you have so-and-so staying for you? This is a Knox Eden from the Eloise Inn, and we had somebody run out on a bill, and her name was this, and I just want to make sure, like, she doesn't not doing that. Very clever. I want to make sure that she's not doing it elsewhere, and, like, so they be like, yeah, like, this person is staying here. It's like, cool, I'm going to send local PD. Like, PD is going to be there in a bit to pick her up and charge her and all this stuff. And so when gets on the horn and calls the local PD of that town, anyway, they get him back. They arrest They arrest Jill and this other gal, and it's sent up the chain to the FBI because, you know, kidnapping.
Yeah, bad. You don't do that.
Bad. And then they get Drake back, and then happily ever after. Okay, so that's the summation of the whole book. Jack,
and then the pregnancy.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, okay.
Jack.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna get you to read something here. So, Ash, if you remember this part of the book, it's when
this is my favorite.
This is a great part of the book where she's like, you know, I'm messy. All of this is a big mess. It's terrible. And Knox is like, messy good.
When he stood, his face was unreadable, his expression closed. Did you like dinner? It was amazing. Everything he made was amazing. Good, now look around. The kitchen was a disaster. He had grease splatters on his shirt and flour dusted his jeans. The counters and stove would need a thorough scrubbing. The floors would need to be mopped and the dishwasher run. The craziest days in the kitchen end with food on every surface. Those are the days when I walk out the door so exhausted I can barely keep my eyes open on the drive home. Passion comes from the mess, Memphis. He threaded his hands into my hair. So does everything lasting. My frame sagged. You deserve you. I was going to say better. No, I deserve you. Because I want you. And damn it, I earned you. All the shit I went through. The hell you endured. Who fucking cares if it's messy? He flicked a wrist around the room. It's exactly the way it should be. But, god damn it, Memphis, stop arguing with me. In a flash, he picked me up and set me on the island. A fork went sailing, clattering to the floor. Then he stepped in between my legs, holding my gaze, our noses touching. Let me make this clear. You are mine. Drake is mine. For all of your todays and each of your tomorrows, mine. Do you not want me? Of course I want you. Then fucking kiss me. I put my hands to his face, but as he leaned in, I pushed him back. Because I had something to say too. I'm scared. No shit. I rolled my eyes. I go a little crazy. So what? He leaned in again, this time more insistent. Go crazy. Be scared. You won't chase me away. There was a dare in his voice, like he knew I wanted to doubt him, so he dared me to try. He dared me to push because he wouldn't walk away. "You're mine too," I whispered. "I know." He leaned in, and this time I let him capture my lips. He stroked his tongue across my lower lip, and when I opened for him, he delved inside me, not hesitating for a moment, as he swept me into his arms and carried me down the hallway to the bedroom. The jeans and long-sleeved tee I'd worn were stripped off instantly, leaving me in nothing but a black bra and panties. I freed the button on his jeans as he reached behind his neck and yanked his shirt over his head. My hands roamed over the strong muscles of his chest, falling to the rippled stomach and the cut lines around his hips. Beyond the windows, the snowstorm raged. Here, us, together, we were ablaze. Knox banded an arm around my back as his tongue and lips devoured me, never breaking free as he kept me pinned against his warm skin. With his other hand, he delved beneath my panties, his long fingers finding my center. He stroked through my wet folds, torturing me with his touch. I gasped against his mouth as I began to tremble. He toyed with me, plunging a finger inside as he rubbed my clit. My hips rocked against his hand, matching his rhythm. "Knox," I whimpered. "Come on my fingers. Then you can have my cock." He dipped his lips to my neck, latched on and sucked as he pumped his fingers in and out, stroking my inner walls until I was panting. I lifted a leg, hooking it around his hip as my arms looped around his neck, and I held on, riding his hand as he finger-fucked me. Stars exploded behind my vision, and I came on a cry, a burst of pleasure so pure I couldn't do anything but feel. Fuck, but that is hot. He nibbled on my earlobe as the aftershocks rang through my limbs. Then he unwrapped me from his body and laid me on the bed, stripping off my panties and bra. He popped his finger into his mouth, humming at my taste. Then he pushed my legs apart so I was spread wide. "Don't move." I nodded, lifting my hands to my pebbled nipples and giving them a tug. Again, Knox stood at the end of the bed and watched. I pulled at my nipples, loving the flare in his eyes. "Like this?" Again. I smiled and kept toying with them as he stepped out of his jeans, his thick arousal bobbing free. He wrapped his fist around the velvet shaft, stroking it over and over as he watched me play. A bead of cum formed at his crown, and I licked my lips. "You want your mouth on me, Memphis?" "Yes," I breathed. "Later. Tonight I'm going to come on your pretty tits." My breath hitched again. "Touch your clit." I let go of one breast, dropping it to the hardened nub between my legs. The second I touched myself, my back arched off the bed. "Don't close your legs," Knox ordered. I kept them wide as he settled between them, kneeling above me. His hand on his shaft never stopped working as he pumped. The other hand swatted my fingers away from my center. "Touch your nipples." I obeyed, instantly. In the bedroom, in life, whatever pleasure I brought him, he'd give it back 10 times over. His hand found my clit again, and he matched the rhythm of his strokes on us both, working me up until I could barely breathe. "That's it, honey. Come again." I detonated, my eyes squeezing shut as the orgasm racked through my body. Knox groaned and did exactly as promised. He came on my belly and my breasts. I watched as ecstasy washed over his handsome face, as his Adam's apple bobbed with his release, as he came undone, for me. A shiver rolled over his shoulders as he opened his eyes. Then he gave me a sexy, devilish smirk. "Now you're a mess." His mess. In that mess there was passion. In that passion we were perfect.
Thanks for that, Jack.
I clearly misinterpreted because I thought he said, "I love it when you're a mess," but clearly he meant that.
Yeah. They're both messes. And he did made a mess all her boobies.
Your boobies.
It's quite nice.
Wow.
He messed on her boobies.
Jesus. So the I'm gonna follow this up at the end with the epilogue in this book.
Which one?
The second epilogue in this book.
There are multiple epilogues.
There is. So the first epilogue is the segue into the next book, which is Talia. The second extra bonus epilogue is basically them and their brood of children.
Okay, but we have to talk about the first epilogue just for like 30 seconds. The whole like when he's like, how's her weight? Does she weigh enough? Like, is she okay in that way? Because
okay, so break this down. So Memphis is pregnant.
yes,
She's like 6 months pregnant at this point.
I don't even care.
In the epilogue. And then, so Knox takes Memphis in to see Talia for her normal checkup.
Yes.
And he's like, he's
Papa bearing it.
He's Papa bearing it so bad.
He's like,
is she eating enough? Do I need to feed her more?
Yeah.
He's like, you feed me 6 times a day.
how's her weight? Does she weigh enough? Is she okay there? Because like she's not eating much. And Memphis is like, you literally cook for me 6 times a day.
It's so cute.
And it's like, sir, I like mac and cheese too. And like,
Spread the love is what you're saying.
I'll spread my legs if you spread the love, sir.
He looks after her like it's intense.
Well. So
and he
Boys,
like
make your gal some mac and cheese.
so the bonus
and
epilogue
eat her out.
definitely do all those things. Sure. So the bonus epilogue is
Or come on her boobies.
you can do that too.
Let's not say the word boobies.
Boobies.
Oh my god.
So the bonus epilogue is Knox cooking with Drake. And Drake is like 11 or 10.
Yeah.
They're cooking a family dinner.
Yes.
Because every Monday night they have like family night cuz there's like fucking 5 kids or something.
Yes.
By the time he's 11.
And the youngest one is running around naked.
They have
Yeah, together. So they have
They have
Drake.
4 kids together.
They have
5 kids in total?
I think they have 5 kids in total.
So 4 kids together, 5 kids in total.
Yeah.
Drake.
Yeah. And I mean at this point obviously like he has married Memphis and has adopted Drake like 2 days later.
Yeah.
So he's for all intents and purposes that's Drake's dad.
Yeah. Little buddy.
Little buddy. And so he like
boss.
He still calls him boss in the bonus epilogue too.
I love it so much.
Yeah, it's adorable. It's really, really cute. So on that adorable, cute notion,
How?
Ash,
What?
how would you like to rate this book?
G-
Out of
Chef
let's-
bods? Mountains?
I was gonna say hills. Out of hills, there's like 4 hills.
I don't know how many hills there are in
Hold
this
on,
book.
there's 5 kids. Let's rate it out of 5 hills. How many hills would you give this book?
5?
Yeah.
I really like this book. I really like Knox. I really, really like Knox. Look, I loved, I'm going to say 5. No. I'm going to say 4.5. Like, so 4 hills and like a sledding hill. Like, just like, not even a sledding hill. Like, I can't think of anything
A
clever.
smaller hill.
A smaller hill.
4 large hills and 1 smaller hill.
One smaller hill.
Bit of an incline.
Because like there is room for improvement 100%, but like the fact that the story, and I mean I was super attached to this storyline, so yeah, 4.5. That's my rating.
Jack, based on that little segment you read about being messy and the really nice coloring sheet I made for you, what do you want to rate this book?
I think I'm gonna rate it hills. 5 hills? Is that what you said?
That's how many hills, yes.
The hills are alive with the sound of music.
That's what I was gonna say.
The coloring sheet hills are boobies.
The number of hills, however many I decide to choose, they are alive with the sound of music. And I think I might say 3 hills and a citadel hill. And
Reppin' Halifax.
An anthill.
Like Aunt Hill or Ant Hill?
No, ant. Like, new summer lay for me. Nous sommes petits, we très petits.
Nous ensemble.
We ensemble.
Something.
I can't remember. I can't believe you remember that.
La
La pizza.
Un biscuit pour un chien.
Dog biscuit.
Dog biscuit. Okay, cool. Thanks, guys. I'm gonna rate it. I think I'll give it a 5.
Yeah, give it.
Here's the thing. This is why I'm going to give it a 5 because we're not going to revisit this series again. This series deserves a 5.
Okay, if we're rating it in terms of the series, 100% the series deserves a 5.
Because this is the thing, I can't contextualize this book outside of that series. It can't live outside the series because there's so much connection to the rest of the series in this book and all of the books
And all the
that
characters.
and all the characters are so intertwined, and it's such a having read the rest of the books has influenced me greatly to enjoy this book more, I think. And so
And I didn't think that you would like that. I genuinely did not think that you. I was shocked when you told me you were going to keep reading the series because I thought, well, I'll just read the first 2 because like you have to read the first one in order to kind of understand. But like,
here's what gripped me in this series is the drama. Like, I am not a heavy drama person, but the drama in this series, like Devney wrote it so well. I am like, it's like crack. I am hooked. It's like great daytime television. It's so good.
I know. Again, I was
Because
shocked.
it's small town drama bullshit, some of it.
And I didn't think that you'd like it because of the drama.
Fair.
Genuinely, I was like, I
but
don't
like
think.
here's the thing, it's like a nice balance of like the drama and like the spice is good and like, but the drama hits you in such a way that you're just like, oh, I need to know what's gonna happen. I have to finish these books.
It was literally 2:00 in the morning. Drake was missing, and I was like,
Gotta finish the book. Gotta
can't
finish it.
go to bed.
You gotta finish it.
I literally went until the epilogue because I was like, I can't leave the book with the baby missing.
Yeah.
And like, I can't.
Because there's like, what, 4 books in this series right now?
4, yeah, and then
Yeah.
there should be 5.
I demolished those in a week.
yeah,
Gone.
easily.
I like, no problem. They're all on Kindle Unlimited.
Yeah,
You can read them all.
I listened to them.
Yeah.
It was delightful.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Great series.
so good.
Highly recommend it.
Okay, I retract my statement. I give it a 5.
Perfect. So that's 2 5s and a
Ant
3
hill.
and an anthill and a citadel.
Yep.
So thanks for reading that with us, guys. I have a book I want to talk about that I read this week.
Fuck this again.
I need to call up because our patron Sanus Bites has put out 2 new books recently.
Katie.
So Katie Robert has released Radiant Sin and the other one you read, Ash. What is it called? The
Gargoyle's Captive.
Gargoyle's Captive. I haven't read that one yet because it's in the mail. Radiant Sin, however, I just finished last week. It's book 4 in the Dark Olympus series featuring Apollo and Cassandra, and it's like a retelling of their story, basically. Which is, it's just like there's this huge story that Katie Robert is telling about the Dark Olympus series in general, about Olympus and all of the facets that go into it. And so this is like another version of that book that's a big stepping stone for what's to come next. The book itself was not like, it's not like it's a big plot to the overarching story, but like, I don't know, the plot felt really kind of weird and I don't know. It was kind of strange. What I will say about it though, is the spice in that book is, oh baby. Like Katie Robert is known for writing amazing spice, but like this book just hit me so different. I don't know, man. There's not a lot of substance to this book. There's not a lot going on, but fucking
Let's be real
But
here.
their spice is so good. It's easily like the best spice I've read in a book in a long time. And so like for that reason, I think you should read it. It's absolutely amazing. As like an actual book, as a story, as standalone, it's fine. It's not like it's a Grumpy Sunshine, but from the other perspective. So like she's the grump
grumpy?
and he's the sunshine.
Ooh.
So that's kind of nice. And like, again, it's like her protecting her sister and trying to get out of Olympus, which you kind of see again in the first book, in the Dark Olympus series with Persephone and Hades. And so that's kind of like a continuing theme. And then like, of course, all the drama in the back end of Olympus in general with the 13 and there's, you know, a continuation of that whole story arc going on about there's so much, like it's a overarching story. And this is a big component of it, but it's like, the spice is so good. It's so good. It's so spicy. It's so and it's a fake relationship, which we love, and obviously leads into a normal relationship. And anyway, it's good.
What? Shocking.
It's a good book. I would read it again, I think. And yeah, I mean, Dark Olympus series, you have to read all of them anyway. So it's definitely not the best of the Dark Olympus series, but it's good.
I like Wicked Beauty. I think the best so far.
I agree, and it's interesting that like I think Wicked Beauty was really good. I really liked Electric Idol. I really did.
Electric Idol was brilliant in the plus size rep. Wicked Beauty made threesomes wholesome, and that to me was just like,
Yeah, and like they're and so to that point, Ares shows up in this book, of course, because and so like there's all these.
Three of them?
I think all three of them are in the book, actually. Yeah, because they're kind of like part of a unit that investigates stuff, and so there's a lot of shit that happens, and so they pop up in this book, and like all of the characters continue in this book, and they're kind of rebuilding Olympus by taking out like the older generation, and this is kind of a continuation of that too. So it's interesting. And there's like some, as Katie Robert does, there's like some bullshit that happens in this book that like didn't see that shit coming. She's good for that. Really good. I enjoyed it. You got to read it because it's part of the Dark Olympus series, but it's also a stepping stone to the next books in the series because there's tons of them.
Yeah, and if nothing else, we want to find out who Hermes ends up with, because Hermes
is in this book. Hermes has a big part in this book.
The last book in Katie Roberts' series is going to be Hermes and she won't state who. Yeah. And the second last one is Hera and Zeus.
Because in this book, Cassandra has a relationship with Hermes, like a past relationship, and they were together at one point.
Love that.
And the whole place kind of takes part. It's like a whodunit kind of situation. Yeah. And so the entire book takes place at Hermes's mansion, which she sold to somebody else.
Hermes,
and I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it because there's a whole bunch of like shit that goes on here, and it's like it is a whodunit kind of book, and so like that's kind of a fun twist from what we haven't seen in the Dark Olympus series yet. So like it is kind of a fun book, a very, very spicy book. Story is okay, but like enjoy it.
I like whodunit books.
You might not be into this one though,
because it's all sex. Okay, I read this series, Bro and the Beast, and
I love the name of that series already.
Listen, it's okay.
Is it like Beauty and the Beast, but it's a guy instead of a girl?
No, it's so they're like novellas though, so they're not very long. They're like 130 pages.
I love that though. Yeah, a good serious novella.
It's so the main character's name is Brad.
He's a bro, isn't he?
He's a bro.
Yes.
Brad's a jock bro, frat bro, and he gets into a fight with his brother Devin, and they're twins, and Devin's gay. And Devin was reading a book, and this one. So Devin was reading a book, and so Brad gets into the book, and then he gets invited, and he's like super invested in this book, and it's an Omegaverse book, and he's admittedly just like flipping through reading the sexiest parts, but he is paying attention to some of the
that
story.
checks out.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't? So Brad gets into an accident, and he wakes up, and he is in the book.
Yes, we love that.
It's so it's so fucking funny because Ralph, I don't even remember the main guy character's name, Raoul maybe, shows up, and like Brad is the female character in the book. So
he's a gender swap?
No, he's male, but he's an Omega because the main female character is an Omega. And so Raoul's like, oh, he's like, dude, I'm not a chick, and like I'm not gay, and like all of this stuff. And then he's like, Raoul's like trying to protect him. He's like, I could bench you, dude. Like, what the fuck? And he's like talking about his like magical dick and like all of this stuff. And so he gets taken back to like Raoul, because Raoul's like the alpha of the packs, and there's like pack wars and stuff going on. And so Raoul takes him back to his house, and like the doctor is like investigating his shit. And he starts going into heat, as an Omega does, and he's like, "What the fuck?" Because he's human up until this point.
Yeah.
And they're like, "You need to have sex," and he's like, "All right." And they're like, "Where are you going?" He goes, "I'm gonna go find Lenore." And he's like, "They're like, why are you going to find Lenore?" He's like, "Fucking bang it out, man." They're like, "No, you need to have sex. Like, you need to get laid. Like, you need to be fucked.
You need to be on the receiving end.
You need to be the catcher here, dude." Mm-hmm. And so he's like,
prepared to be a catcher.
What? And so like, he's like, admittedly like, oh, okay, well maybe Raoul does smell good. And so he's like, well, fuck that, not gonna happen. But like, if you don't take care of your heat
takes care of you.
You go through it for like weeks, or not weeks, like for like an extended period of time.
Preach.
When you're horny for days. So Raoul shows up, and Brad's like seriously uncomfortable, and so he's like, "This doesn't mean what you think it means," and he gives in. And then Raoul, like, he's like, "Well, that's a dick in my ass, I guess," and
just a dick in my ass.
Yeah. And then at the end of it, Raoul's like, he's like, "Well, and he's trying to explain it to Brad, like, well, it seems like your heat's subsiding, like, you shouldn't go through this again unless like something will be being pregnant." And he's like, excuse me? And so like essentially he's like, well, once you're not in like deflates, you might want to like fucking run. And he's like, why? He goes, because I'm gonna fucking kill you. And he's like, I can't get pregnant, I'm a dude. And he's like, you're an omega. And so like I read the first one and the second one, and they both end on like kind of cliffhangers. And like the second one is like Raul goes away, and like Brad's like nesting kind of. Like I don't even know how to describe it. And like he doesn't realize he misses him, and then he misses him, and then he's mad at him because he's gone. And like
the drama of the hormones.
Oh my god, it's ridiculous.
Yep.
And so like I still don't know if Brad's pregnant or not. And I'm like, I swore up and down I was gonna read another fucking male pregnancy book, but here I am.
Here you are reading them, Preg.
And it's like
No penguins in this one either.
No, but they're wolves.
I was just gonna say, is he preparing to lay an egg?
No.
Damn.
Anyway, like I was not prepared for the level of like delightful camp in this book. I was screenshotting it and sending it to the group chat, like being like, what the fuck? It's so I don't know if it was meant to be this funny, but oh my god, it's delightful. Like I can't wait for the next book to come out in what's next month, May. Yeah, I can't wait for the next book. Like I'm just like, I can't wait. And it's such an easy read. I read it in like, I don't know, an hour, like 130 pages. Like,
yeah, they're super quick. You
Yeah.
love a novella.
yeah, like I
like-
read that and not the vampire. I read that and the Gargoyle's Captive, same fucking day. And it was just like, so good. So that was Rachel making eating noises, not masturbation noises.
Yum, 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 yum.
So the series is The Bro and the Beast.
I love the name too. It's
The
so good.
Wolf's Mate. And it's by Elsie Davis or Joel Abernathy. And I'm pretty sure that...
Is that on Kindle?
Yeah, it's on Kindle Unlimited. And I'm pretty sure it's written by a trans male author.
Okay, cool.
Which I...
Represent.
Yeah, I super adore. Because I've been trying to be a little bit more inclusive in my reading. This was accident. Like I stumbled over this one because honestly, the title just made me go, yep, that's happening. And
I love judging books like that sometimes. I'm like, you give me an enticing title.
Well, and like the cover is kind of like animated, like it's cartoony, but it's not. And then like
That catches me. Like I'm
yeah,
intrigued. Yeah.
like
It's on my list.
yeah,
too.
yeah. It's just
It's great.
I recommend it for a good time. Like, you know, nice, easy, smooth. I mean, Brad is probably easy and smooth. He like doesn't want it, but he wants it, and he like. I always love those. Like,
Really, won't he?
well, I love the big male characters that kind of realize that they want to be.
Give in to the dark side.
Well, they
Do
want to
it.
be like held and coddled and stuff, and like. There's a similar thing in the monsters books, and like one of my favorite couples was like the big guys and the guy who was like,
They just want to be loved.
yes, oh my god, so yes, oh my god, so much. Anyway, yeah, Bro and the Beast, and
Love it.
like so fucking fantastic. I love it.
Thanks
Jack,
for that, Ash.
What have you read anything interesting? She's staring at me like, what the fuck?
I'm still reading my detective novels
I get.
and listening to podcasts.
Is there any good podcasts you've been listening to that you like talking
I
about?
listened to this one that's called Truth and Justice. Right now, they're doing a case about a triple homicide that happened in California.
True crime.
Yeah,
I
true.
love how we're like sex, and Jacqueline's like
murder. Also,
True crime is like a thing that people are into.
so into.
It's so
big
trend. Like, yeah.
And this is also
sexy.
wrongful conviction cases.
Oh.
Not the same thing at all.
That's
Yeah.
not sexy at all, actually.
So yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for sharing, Jack. So next time on the Queens of Spice podcast, we're going to be talking about a book that I read ages ago. I'm so excited to finally talk about. It's called Soul to Keep by Opal Rain. And that is available on Kindle Unlimited. The second book came out not long ago, and the third book is due out later in this year. So we'll be talking about that next time. I'm super excited to talk about penises. I'm
Is it still
amped.
Mother's Day?
It is as of right now, yeah.
Okay.
So happy Mother's Day to everyone. Thanks for that, Jack.
Happy Mother's Day, all you lovely humans.
I
Yeah.
didn't know what time it was. So
We love moms.
yeah.
They're great.
Momthers,
Thanks.
Everyone has one.
moms, even if they're dead.
birth givers.
Especially if they're dead. So thanks for joining me in the Queen's Space podcast, and I'll see you guys next time.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Queens of Spice podcast. You'll find us on Instagram and Twitter at Queens of Spice. Or if you want to send us an email, you can reach us at queensofspice@gmail.com.